going on in there, Pumpkin? What is that? A fun new package? Live plants? Gotta love live... Oh, hey, Turbo. How you doing? Hey, what's up, garden friends? Jeff here. So we hope you're doing well. I'm great. It's not ideal timing for filming a video, but, you know, when the plants show up, you gotta take them out of the package. So here we are. Evening. Are these lights on? Do I need to turn the lights on? Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. Never know what's going to go on. Okay, so things might be a little bit grainy, but it's just gonna go with it. It's fine. Actually had 2 packages come with plants, so it's going to be exciting to open them. What is that awful noise? I think the fountain's running low on water over here. Yep, that's the fountain. This one over here, it can be a troublemaker. Oh, hey, look at that. Good thing I came over here. Roads of Sharon's not looking too hot. It'd be so nice if it would rain. It'd really save me a heck of a lot of time. Today is Monday. I watered on Saturday. Everything got water. But it's not enough. Even the stuff on drip, look, just shriveling. That's okay. Let's get more plants. Now that I'm showing you the plants that I have aren't doing so great. Listen, they're not that bad. It's just there are a few things. Not looking too hot, but for the most part, things are looking pretty okay. Are they gonna do it? A fence party? Turbo's hanging with his friend. Very easily distracted. So hopefully you're gonna take everything in this video with a grain of salt. I already popped this one open because I couldn't wait for y'all. Sorry. I was really excited about it. It's a beautiful plant. And here, another beautiful plant. Everything here, all 2 of the things, fun variegated plants. First one here. Tropical Plants of Florida. I actually ordered this through Walmart's website. Suppose you could probably just order direct from them. I don't really know. This is a good price, and I was like, oh, well, this looks cool. It's a somewhat run-of-the-mill kind of plant. Package looks rough, but that's not their fault, right? This guy out of here. Gently. Here we go. Got some paper on it. Oh, holy crap. Certainly wasn't expecting that. Guys, this was $39.99. It might have been $34.99, but since I can't remember, I'm going to go with the bigger number. Oh, I'm thinking we should save this one for last. You've already seen it, sort of, but, you know. And I need to get them both out of their packages anyways. Over here, this little lovely is from Carnivero. I've always said Carnivero, but I'm pretty sure it's pronounced Carnivero, which is an excellent company. I like them a lot. I highly suggest you check them out, especially if you're into carnivorous plants. They have a great selection of really everything. It's not just carnivorous plants. They have some nice aroids and all kinds of things. This is a Monstera. It's called White Monster. Look at how pretty. It's a little baby. Just a little guy right here. So this is one of the deliciosas. So nice big foliage on this one. And what's interesting about the White Monster, in contrast to the other variegated types, like the the Thai constellation, right? It's the most common one. Is this one gets a lot of white on its foliage, and it tends to play tricks on you. So they will come out with some variegation, and that variegation can start to fade and go away, and then boom, it comes back as that leaf fully ages. You know, the Monsteras, the new leaves, the foliage can come out it's sort of softer and smaller, right? And then after you give that a few days, they tend to firm up and expand out, and then over time that variegation comes through. So it's just one with very heavy variegation. I would compare this to like in the pothos world, what would be I keep wanting to say Snow Princess. That's not what it's called, is it? You know, the one that's the Queen of Snow. Jeez. The white variegated pothos. I haven't. Snow Queen. Yeah, that one. I have some down there. Just very heavy variegation, a really pretty one. There are many types now. Lots of variants of the variegated deliciosas. And I'm not that crazy about the majority of them, but I saw this one and I thought, oh, that's really pretty. And it's from a company that I really, really like. Carnivero, they do a lot of work with plants that are at risk, things that are, you know, going endangered and suffering from poaching and those things. So I like supporting them. I order my pinguiculas, my butterworts. That's where I get them from. I always get them from Carnivero. So, you know, I thought I'd go ahead and grab one of these. Was on the pricey side, but for what it is, I don't think it was too bad. It's one of those rare occasions where I can say, hey, I actually feel really good about this purchase because I really like the company. And I don't keep tons of carnivorous plants around anymore just because they don't always do the best when you're moving them from in to out as the seasons change. So the pinguiculas and those things, there's some nepenthes that do up. That's going off on a whole other tangent. There are some that I do like and I will keep, but they also have aroids, some pretty cool ones. So that's what this is. It's going to have some really big, very white leaves on it someday. I'm interested to see what the growth habit's going to be like. When you get into the variegation with the plants, sometimes you lose vigor, as is the case with the Thai constellation, nowhere near as vigorous as your regular deliciosa, just regular green Monstera. But, I don't know, my Thais, they grow pretty fast, but still not quite the same as with a regular, just all green variety. There's, I should say, the regular green type of Monstera. And this one has even more white on it, so might be slower. Who knows? Get this guy potted up sooner than later. Hi. Oh, how you doing? That's a big mouth, Turbo. We'll probably pot this off camera because the way I've been doing things with some of my aroids lately gets the aroid people really mad at me and they yell at me. Like that made some noise, like I'm new and I've never done this before. Listen, it all depends on your climate and how you're growing things and the style you grow things. And going with a pure mix of just barky, chunky stuff with the deliciosas, it just doesn't work for me where I live. I have to get some potting mix or a good amount of peat or coconut fiber into that mix or else they just desiccate. I have to basically keep them sitting in water if I don't do that. And it just doesn't make sense to do it that way. So, yeah, I'm going to pot this up off camera so that people don't yell at me, and then come back and have a look at it. I think this pot's too big, though. Need to find something else. Okay, fine. You can have a look. It is a plant channel, so we should talk about these things. This is about 75% all-purpose potting mix, which has a good amount of perlite in it and some, chunky stuff. This drains really well, but holds on to some moisture. And then 25%, probably more than that, of just an aroid mix, a nice barky aroid mix. This is actually the pre-made newt mix that I have diluted and added more bark to over time. I don't really like buying my aroid mixes, but sometimes it just makes more sense when you don't have time and you're in a pinch. So that's just going to allow for some more airflow in there because having good airflow is very, very, very important. Help prevent rot and all that bad stuff. And then the mix, the soil blend, that's just going to help with that moisture. No, that's it. That's all I do. There's still a little bit of moisture here in that sphagnum moss. Not much, but enough to make me feel okay about the plant. Doesn't seem like it's going to need to be rehydrated drastically. Take some of that off and put it back here. Yeah, if I was doing a bark blend, this would be great because I would be adding in a ton of the sphagnum. But since there's potting mix in there, I really don't want the sphagnum. Oh, look at that. It's in a plug. It's got some nice roots on it. Yeah, okay. So this container, that's way too big. I'm going to have to be extremely mindful about watering with this guy because it would be very easy for it to rot out. Luckily, my grow space, which is where this is going to be in just, a week or two, these temperatures cool off by the time this video comes out. Might already be in the grow space, probably will. The air is much drier this time of year. When we get towards January, I start to run the heater higher in there, and that warms the water. There's a big pond in there, and that helps release more humidity. But the beginning of things tend to be more dry. I'll even let that sit just a smidge high. It's not going to hurt anything with this plant. It'll be okay. And this is, I can't even press it down if I wanted to. That's okay. I have it down nice and low. That's only because I may end up wanting to staple in a support to the side at some point. I don't really know. We will see. We will see. I could have probably gone with a size smaller, but when I go to the next size down, when I go down to just your standard 4-inch and smaller, plants tend to get knocked over a lot and misplaced, and I just like for it to be in something big enough where I can set into a nice catch pot and observe it that way. So there it is, the pretty little white monster Monstera. There's the name, if you're wondering, for Carnivero. They're in Austin. I think that they have some public hours now where you can go there. If you're in Austin, I'd check that out. I'd want to see what that place is like. I've seen some videos. I know Ziess Animal Sanctuary, they did a Twitch stream there. So it was really cool getting to see inside the operation after, having shopped with them and followed them all this time to get to see what's going on in there. It was really cool. Learned a lot from it too. So check that out. Okay, now this one. I cannot believe how cheap this was. What? A steal. That's a nice sized plant. Got some stakes out of it too. I always hold on to those. Always end up having a use for them. Never know when you're going to need a little plant stake for something. All right. I just lift it off the top. Should be able to. Oh, look at those stems. Wow. What an absolutely stunning plant. I cannot believe that this was only either $35 or $40. You know, it's a variegated Monstera. No, alocasias. They tend to get really pricey, but that seems to be resolving since, 2020 when the plant prices went insane. I was not expecting something this big. Oh, and you might be wondering, what is this beautiful plant? This is Alocasia apellusa. There it is. Gold. Apellusa gold. Variegated alocasia, macrorhiza, 6.5. Yeah, it's just beautiful. I've grown a lot of variegated alocasia over the years. The Okinawa Silver, I really do enjoy it. It has a shorter size to it, and they tend to be really prolific, but they revert often, I've noticed, but that's something to just cut everything off, make sure they have proper lighting, and they usually flush out with variegated foliage. And then I've had that, the Blizzard, that was a cool one. And I just have like a regular variegated, basically this, but the one I had didn't have as much variegation. It wasn't called an Appaloosa. And I still have those. They're over, I don't know, they're over there somewhere. Still small. They're not even the size. Because, the variegated plants, sometimes you just don't get the size on them. You can see there's plant food down in here. Oh, and this did come with a packet it fell on the ground, but it looks like a packet of plant food, tropical plant food for 1 to 1 gallon pot. All right, in approximately 4 weeks, spread an entire bag on top of soil. Lasts for 3 months. It's just continuous release. So thank you for that. I don't think I'll be using that, but maybe. We will see what the growing conditions are like in a month, and if things are warm and the plant looks like it wants to grow, then I can throw some continuous release in there. That would be fine, as long as I can remember to store that someplace that's dark and without lots of temperature shifts going on all over the place that pretty much makes that stuff useless, right? And it's in a clear bag. I don't know. Who knows what kind of quality it even has right now, but it's got plant food in there. Not something I'm concerned about anyways, but there's some in there on top of the soil. Is there... No, basically nothing. Wow, clean shipping. Very, very clean shipping. I'm impressed, and I don't get upset or, persnickety when I open a package and there's some broken branches and some soil spelt, even a lot of soil spelt. That's just how it goes when you order a plant. But this is spotless. It's a very clean and easy unboxing. I will say, I think the saving grace to it being darker out right now and filming issues that can come with that is that it's variegated. So they reflect that light, almost luminous. That's why I love variegated plants. You can stick them back in the shade and they help draw the eye back and they just brighten up an area. So since this is a variegated alocasia, this isn't one that I'm going to grow like some of my others or my just typical alocasia, where I'll let them get a good amount of sun, but usually protection in the late afternoon because the foliage can scorch on them where I live. They just don't always do the best with full day sun. This one will be even less than that, so probably I'll just try direct morning sun and see how that goes. We're moving into a time of year where the sun just is nowhere near as intense, right? So we're moving, it is officially fall at this point, late October, so the sun's just not probably going to bake these, but this does have that big patch of variegation in it, so maybe it will, I don't know. This has the kind of variegation that I love to see on a plant, though. You see the various shades of the white and the cream and the lighter green and the darker green, where you really get that tricolor experience with it, but not that insane yellow. I don't I'm not into the yellow. Yellow variegation has just never done it for me. I talk about that whenever I unpack a variegated plant, that there's a certain type I tend to go for. And even if it has white on it, if it has too many hints or notes of yellow in it, I tend to not like it all that much. I like just that random chunkiness with the pattern. It really does. It looks like a painting. I think this is the closest I've seen on a, I keep on calling it Monstera, on an alocasia, to looking like an albo, a Monstera albo. See, well, it's not quite as swirly or marbly, I suppose would be how you would describe that, but it's good. That's some good variegation. See this leaf right here? Not much going on, but still absolutely beautiful. That is a stunning leaf. Very, very pretty. And then this is the next one it opened. Still very pretty, but not as much. And then this is its latest leaf, which has quite a bit more variegation on it. So I'm just going to assume from what I'm seeing here that probably means that this is one of those plants where they maybe don't do a whole lot and then they start to reach a size and going to see more variegation on them, which is pretty common with a lot of the macrorhiza type alocasias that are variegated. Got distracted by my sprinklers. I thought there was an animal coming for me when I was saying all that. I have some mixed opinions going on in my head about what I should do with this right now. I would like to repot it just because I'm looking at this container going, that's going to be a pain in the butt during the winter. It's just, I feel like this is going to need a lot of water in the grow space because it's in that smaller size. I'm going to have to limp this all the way through until May to repot it. So I'll probably just go ahead and bump this right up into a 10-inch. The alocasia, usually fine with that. Just same thing with the Monstera. Just got to make sure that it doesn't have wet feet, which is fairly easy to do in the grow space. You just set them up on something so they can't sit in water. And they won't be getting a ton of water, like I said, for the first couple months they're in there anyways. So I keep my grow space more on the cool side up until around January, and then I crank the heater up higher. I let everything just rest during the holidays. It's easier on the electric bill with the Christmas lights and everything. And the plants seem to respond well to it when I go ahead and I get that heater up and going. And the grow space is over. That's why I'm pointing that direction. When I get the heater ramped up, it seems to trigger a good amount of growth and everything just is like, oh, and seems so happy. And they just chill out for a couple months up until that point. I'd keep the heat in there around 55 to 65, somewhere in there, and then I'll bump it up to 75, maybe 80 at the highest. It's really sunny and stuff. It gets warmer than that in there, but, it costs a lot of money to heat a space like that, so I try and keep it more on the low end, and that's when I would expect a lot of growth to come out of this. So the best thing to do, now that I've talked through all that in my head, I did all my thinking out loud. Sorry, and you're welcome. Just hold off on repotting this until I'm ready to crank the heat up in there, and then I can repot it, and it should just take off and be really happy. That I'll change my mind completely and just repot it because I feel like this is just going to be one of those plants that gets knocked all over the place. Just popping it up into a larger size, maybe not a 10-inch. I might just take that up one more pot size just for some stability because this is a good amount of plant to have in this container. It's fairly firm down in here. It's nice and solid. You see how solid that is? It's in there. There's no wiggle or give to it. The problem is, when you repot an alocasia, or alocasia, bananas, gingers, they all tend to have the same response, which is to just start dropping leaves and just throw an absolute and complete and total fit. Now, the alocasias, though, if their roots are really extensive, they don't always throw that much of a fit. So letting a couple more leaves open on this probably wouldn't be a bad idea, and then I'll move forward with repotting it. And I meant to mention, pardon the wall, I'm just taking everything apart, getting ready for winter, so things are in disarray. It's just the nature of things this time of year. With the fertilizers, I'm sure that this is fine. I don't know what it is, so maybe I'm not sure it's fine. But usually continuous release fertilizers either don't do anything or they're pretty benign. They're not going to do very much. It would be fine. Liquid fertilizers, I'm going to avoid pretty much anything with this one given the time of year other than maybe a root stimulator when it's time to bump it up into a larger container. That would be about it fertilizer-wise. Again, unless, like I was talking about with that Deliciosa down there, if it's looking like the plant wants to grow, and it is growing, different story. Yeah, that's enough of that. We don't need to go into the care and everything. Alocasia can be a pain in the butt during the winter time. That's not a secret to anybody. I just wanted to show everybody these leaves and how pretty they are. I was expecting this to be, I'm thinking to be maybe this big. I am so pleased and impressed with how just big and lovely this plant is. I'll go ahead and set it down right here for right now so that it's not up and exposed to anything in the morning. I don't want to move it around a ton. It was just shipped. So we'll let it have a very small drink tonight, and this is a spot where it'll be pretty protected and not have to deal with winds or anything crazy, right? Extreme conditions. It's protected down here. This is generally what they want, with some protection. Gosh, that is so freaking pretty. All right, hey, comment down below some experiences with the cellar or with this type of alocasia, any types of the sports of the deliciosas. Just, you know, what's going on with your plants. All right, hey, as always, and most importantly, everybody, keep on growing. Bye. Bye.